So in our last video, we talked about how to get better at UI. And I think one of the greatest things you can do, especially if you're just starting, is recreate other people's websites in Figma. So here I found a website that I really like the look of. It's called VidsFlow, and this is a product for Webflow, which allows you to upload videos and style the UI of the video player. It's something everybody in Webflow wants. We use it ourselves, it's great. And I think the marketing site is nice. It's nice and clean. It's got really good contrast. I think the content is great. I think the sections are great. Look, we've got testimonials, it's showing off the product. It's got kind of the benefits and the reasons why. It kind of talks to pain points, shows you examples. It's got a nice call to action. It's all quite simple, quite short, straight to the point, but I think it works. So basically, let's rebuild this in Figma. So if you want to join in, I'm going to show you how we do it. I'm not going to do the whole thing, I'll just do the first few sections so you guys can understand like how I would approach something like this. So first thing to do is we need to get all of the assets from the website. What we don't want to do is click on every single thing and press Save Image As. There's actually a Chrome plugin called Download All Images. So if we just click on that, there we go, and it's downloaded all of the images. Another great tool for this is CSS Peeper. It's another Chrome extension, and it just gives you like an overview of the website and how it's built. So we can see that the font is Satoshi, and I'm sorry, this is probably really small on screen share. You can click the tab down here and you can grab the hex codes, which is really handy. And one of the great things you can do is you can kind of measure stuff. So if I click on this, it shows me the CSS. So it shows me there's 24 pixels of padding, etc. And it tells me the line height and the font sizes used. Or I can click on this element and then hover to this element, and it tells me there's 24 pixels gap between these two. So I mean, even if you're not going to rebuild the whole thing, you don't have time, this is a great tool to use just to kind of have a look at, you know, how does this work? How much space is there here? Like there's 145 pixels here. Let's see what there is at the top, 100. Okay, so they've probably, rather than that being equal spacing, they've allowed a little bit more at the bottom because they've got this graphic in here. So this is just a great thing to kind of dissect and understand how things are built. So we've got our assets. I've downloaded the font previously and I've popped all of the assets into Figma. So I basically just dragged them all in from my downloads folder, put a frame around it and gave it a background. So we can see we've got kind of all the logos and where there are SVGs, they've downloaded as SVGs. But we're not going to change the design, we're not going to mess with it, we are just going to build it. So I've got a frame here, just 1440 by 1024. I've labeled it home. So the first thing we need to do is grab this background color. So what we can do is we can come to the CSS Peeper, have a look at the colors, and I'm guessing it's this one. So I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to come into Figma and set that as my background. Next thing we need to do is we need to figure out the container size. So how big is this content? So we have a look here. This is probably the biggest UI element, like the width of this. So let's have a look. Does it give us any info here? If we click on this, no, but a good way of doing that is you can do a screenshot by doing Command, Shift and 4. And I'm just going to draw a box around this. You won't be able to see the tiny number, but it tells you that that is 1250 pixels wide. So that means we need to be putting in some guides. So let's add a layout grid. Let's turn it to columns. I'm going to change the color so we can see it. I'm going to give it 12 columns, and we need a container that is 1250 pixels wide. So that's how wide our largest bit of content is. So in order to get our guides to match that, we know that we've got 1440 width artboard. So we can go 1440 minus 1250 leaves us 190. We divide that by 2 and we know the margins on our guides need to be 95. So we can come back to our guides over here, margin 95, and we can see that that works. We'll leave the gutter at 20 for now. That's set up. We know which font we're using. We can see that it's in white. So I'm going to start, whoa, didn't mean to go there, apologies. I'm just going to start building out a bit of this hero section, see what we're doing. So we've copied that, but what size is it? So we can use another plugin called What Font, which is amazing. You can just click on any font. It's going to tell you what the font is and what the weight. So it's Satoshi and it's 700, so it's bold. And we can see the size is 72 pixels and the line height is 80 and the color is pure white, so 72 and 80. So let's paste in our text. Put the font Satoshi bold, and we're going to make this 72. Drag it in here for a minute. And then we need our line height to be, if we do 80 divided by 72, enter, that gives us 1.1, so we know that that is 110%. Right. And then it looks something like that, I think. Let's have a look. Yeah, so we can press escape to come out of that. Then let's grab this text and we can do the same thing again. And this is 32 and 40, so we'll do the same thing again. So we'll paste this in, it's 32. So we'll do 40 divided by 32 gives us 1.3, so we know our line height is 130%. It's always better to work in percent rather than fixed values. And that is because if we were designing this and later we decided that this text should be bigger, if this was actually just set at 40 pixels, or 40 pixels, why will it not let me change that to pixels? There we go, 40 pixels, and then let's say we wanted to bump this text up. You can see what's happening, the line height is staying at 40 pixels. If we undo, and we make this back to 130%, as we increase our font size now, it stays consistent, it stays at that 130%. So that is what we want, and we know that some of that text is has some opacity on it. I wonder if we can click on this, can we see the opacity? So down here it says the alpha is 0.5, so we know that from the word escape, this should be 50%. Shift G to turn our guides off, we're looking pretty good. And then we've got a button, so we can have a look at this. So text size is 18 and the weight is 600, so that's semi-bold. And maybe if we could grab our CSS Peeper, let's see what info this gives us. So we can see that the button has, it's not giving me any information here. Let's close what font. No, it's not giving me the exact information that I want here, but that's okay. I can just guess, or I can use my little screenshot tool here. So I can see that that is 40 pixels left and right. And if I do it again, it's probably 24. Yeah, 24 top and bottom. So get started for free and size 18. Didn't mean to open them. Right, so it says, so we can't back click. Right, get started for free in caps, and then we know that that is 18 and it is semi-bold, which we don't actually have, so we'll put it in medium for now. We're going to shift A to auto layout that. We've got 24 pixels top and bottom, 40 left and right, and it looked like it had some border, so we're just going to give it 8 to start, and it has a background color. So let's find that background color. Is this, so we can copy that code, add in a fill here, paste that in, and there we go. I think let's just make that bold so it's a little bit clearer. There's our button, and then there's a little bit of text under the button, no credit card required. So let's close this, so we can copy our text easily. Just drag that text out. I think it's so I'll let that text. And grab our what font again, we can just click on that and have a look. That is 16, line height of 24%, yeah, that's 150%. Quick maths, font weight is 500, so that's medium. So 16, 150%. There we go. If we have a look at spacing of these elements now, which we can do with CSS, all of the Chrome extensions. I'm using so many. Right, if we click this, we can just hover to here and we can see there's 24 pixels gap there. Then there's 36 and then there's 6. So we can grab these two, auto layout, set them to 24. If we grab our auto layout, if we hit enter, that selects any element inside that auto layout. Let's change it from fixed to fill container. Let's put our guides back on. And let's just drag that in. I think it's around there. Now, we know that these are 6, so we can auto layout this and write 6 in there. And we can set this text to fill container in case we ever change it, but we want the button to stay as its default, which is hugging the contents, because we don't want, if we drag this out and this was set to fill container, we don't want a button that looks like this, because that's silly, it's too big. That there's 40 pixels between these, so we can create another auto layout, 40 pixels there, and we are good to go. So that is looking pretty cool. So we need that little social proof part above the top here, and this is like a great example of why this website is good. So above the fold, we can immediately see And what this does, it tells us what it does. We know how to get started. It's also like prompting us like there's no credit card required. You can literally just start. So that's like removing any barrier to entry. We can see that over 900 people use this, so it must be good. This is social proof. It's showing happy people as well. So it just immediately makes a sort of connection in my mind that this is going to be a great experience. The graphics are cool. The contrast is there. The hierarchy is there. It feels professional. And right here, I can see it in action. I know it's inside the Webflow world. I can watch a video. So immediately, without even scrolling, I know pretty much everything about this product and I can just get started. So always be thinking about that when you're designing your hero. So I'll copy this text. Let's have a look at what size it is, maybe 14. Okay, so it's 16 again. So we can just grab this. And if we want to select one item that's inside lots of nested auto layouts, we can hold Command, grab that, hold Option and just drag it somewhere up here, paste in our text. Let's click this button, which is auto width. And then this was in full white, so we can just change this. Then we know that we've got an image over here in our assets, this one. So we'll just hold Alt, drag a copy of this guy over. This here, auto layout these two together. I think it looks like it's about 24 pixels. So again, we can come to CSS Peeper, grab this, hover over this, it says 24 pixels, and then it's 24 from there as well. So that's correct, and we know that this top auto layout is 24 pixels, so we can cut this, paste it into this one, use our arrow keys to move it up, and there's our hero content, and that is looking pretty good. So next up, let's handle the nav bar, I guess. Now, you can see we've got quite a big split here between the kind of content on the left and the stuff over on the right, and this is because I'm on a huge monitor, right? I'm on a studio display screen, so actually this website probably ends up looking a bit like this on like a laptop screen. So just worth kind of thinking about. So we've got our logo, then we've got like a dividing bar, and then we've got all of our items. We won't bother styling these drop downs, but it's nice to have a look at them and see how they work and just, you know, add that into the UI bank for later. We've got another auto layout over here on the side. So what I might do is I might just take a screenshot of this and pop it into my Figma document. And I'll just pop that up there just for reference, so we're not kind of alt tabbing between the screens all the time. This, of course, I would usually do this. I'd have my second screen or my third screen with the layout on so I could just have a look, but that wouldn't work very well for this video. So we know we need the logo. That's got to be over here somewhere. Here it is. So I'm going to copy that, paste it in here, and that is obviously too big. So let's have a quick look. I can just grab my screenshot tool and just roughly see that's about 124. So let's just make it 124 wide. And we have like a dividing bar, and I'm guessing all of this text is in 50% opacity white. Let's just find out. It looks like it's in bold. Let's just get the font size. So 600 semi-bold, we'll just use 700 because we don't have 600, and it's size 16 again. So we can then just grab this text. We know that already fits all of those parameters. Start writing these out. Oh, actually it should be 16 and 50%. So new features. So I've just got a few. I'm going to auto lay out these, and then I can just bump in a few more. Also good to know this because you kind of see what pages people are designing, and that's just kind of, again, just adding to that bank of arsenal in your brain for when you're writing a project or thinking, what pages does this project need? You've done this so many times, you're practicing that you know you should probably, you know, or we're creating a product site, a marketing site for a product, and perhaps they have an affiliate scheme. Let's ask the client. They'll give you an extra page to design, you can charge more money. Right, and resources. And I also have like a little drop down icon here, so it's like a little triangle. I think we will just do that manually. So what we'll do is we'll grab the polygon tool, we'll draw out a little triangle, we'll make it white and 50%. And then a good trick here is to click on it. So control click on it or right click on it, and we are just going to outline the stroke. And now our bounding box actually fits the shape quite well. And I'm just going to eyeball this and say that that's 8. rotate it around, pop it inside our auto layout, hold Command and Shift to select these two. I'm going to make another auto layout, pop it in the center, make it 8 like that. It feels a bit big, so let's make it 8 on the width. It's okay for now, and what we can actually do is we can just duplicate this one and move it up to features. Same time, do that again, delete features, and then these probably have a bit more space. Say 20, and then just that little dividing line, so we can just grab the line tool, something like this. Fill white, opacity 50%, and then it actually looks like it's probably less than 50. Do 30, and then we can grab all 3 of these elements, Shift A to make that an auto layout. Let's maybe go 32 pixels like that. That is feeling pretty good. So we just need a button over there, so we can grab this button that we've got, which is sort of like our large button, and then I guess you would have in the style guide, you would create a smaller version, and that just says start for free. Smaller and easier to read and not take up too much room, and let's say that's probably like 24 and 12, something like that. And let's make the text inside a bit smaller for a smaller button. So I'm just guessing here. So we'll fill out these, and let's maybe put 20 pixels in between them. We'll align it to the right this time, and we'll bump it over there. So what we can now do with our sort of left and right sides of the nav is we can grab them, we can auto layout, we double click in the center, it's going to be add space between, so it's just forcing the left and right content out to the sides. We can give it a fixed width of 1440, and we can give it looks like it's probably got 32 pixels padding left and right. Let's just align that in the center, and then let's give it sort of 24 top and bottom maybe, or align it to the top, and that is good enough for now. So we're looking pretty good, I like it. So in order to get this page longer, what a lot of people might do is just drag the page, and that may be fine, but sometimes, and especially if you're working in other people's projects, they may have set the constraints up differently. So maybe this has actually been pinned to the bottom accidentally, and if you just grab this and pull it down, it's going to pull that content down, and that is super annoying. So a way to get around that, if that ever happens, is you just hold Command and then drag down, and it will just increase the size of the frame, and this can be on the full page frame or any frame. If you hold Command, then it ignores any constraints of any elements set inside it. So we had a look earlier, and we know that this hero block is 100 pixels from the top, so we can just make that 100 pixels from the top and there. We're looking good, and then the next thing that we have is this video and this kind of graphic and stuff here. Now it didn't download the video in the assets because this is actually a video, so I'm just going to take a screenshot of it from now, like this, and then let's have a think of how to build this. If we pop this in here, we know this needs to sit inside a frame, and that frame needs to be the full width of the container. So I'm going to make this just a little bit smaller for now, maybe like that. What we can do is we can apply an auto layout to this, and we can give it some padding left and right. 56 feels okay. If we give it a fixed width actually, and we can go 1250 because we know that's the width of our container, we can set everything inside to be in the center. Let's give it some rounded corners, and then let's grab that background color. So what we can do is we can just take a screenshot of this corner, put that into our Figma file, and pop this on the side, and then just because we're being lazy, we can grab a fill color here. We can just use the eyedropper tool, and we can just pick this color here. And then we can see that this has got a bit of a, this has got some rounded corners itself, so do that. And it's also got some kind of drop shadow. So we can just hit plus on the effects. It defaults to be on the drop shadow, and it looks like it's quite relatively big. I'm going to turn the blur up to 24, spread up to 24, the Y to 0, so that the shadow is, if you have a value set in Y, it's going to push that shadow down. It looks like this shadow is on all sides, so we want X and Y set to 0. I'm going to use the colour of this. It's probably what I would have done if I was doing shadow, and then it looks a bit intense, so maybe we can pull the opacity down a little bit. And it looks like it has a bit more padding on the top and the bottom. It looks a bit more like that, which is 106. So let's just do that for now. And I think that's good. So, got that guy. So next thing is that kind of planet, and then a glow behind it. So you see the planet is sitting in front of the box and the glow is probably sitting behind the box, right? So let's see what we've got in terms of assets here. So there's our glow and there's our planet. So I'm just going to hold Alt to drag out a copy or Option, and let's pop this in here, and we're going to do Command Option left square bracket, and that's going to send it to the back. And drag this guy in. Up here. Now you just be careful when you're dragging stuff around when there's auto layouts, because if you drag it here it's just going to pop into the auto layout. If you drag it here, we know this is an auto layout. So what we can do, we could put it in this auto layout, we could give it a position of absolute and then move it around, and I think that's okay. Or you can position it outside. It doesn't really matter, to be honest, when you're in the design. So let's have a look at what size this is roughly. So I'm drawing a box around that. This is roughly 280-ish, but that doesn't actually help us, because if we change this box to 280, because it's got all the glows and stuff around it, then the actual planet itself wouldn't be 280. So perhaps we could just grab a rectangle. It's fine there for a minute. Let's do 280, drag it out. Maybe we could put it in here, and we can actually see that that is roughly the right size, so I'm happy with that. And I think it's kind of moved up a little bit like this. And let's basically be in the center. And there we go. I think I'm going to stop there, but you kind of see where I'm going with this, right, and how it works. So I've already learned, actually one thing we need to do, sorry, to grab these, we'll leave those elements for now, and we know that this was 124, I think we remember from earlier. Yeah. So we've just learnt a bunch of things just by doing this, and it's taken about 20 minutes. But we've learnt some nice tactics, and we know, like, to get this text looking nice, we know that the size, this was 72, we know this was 32, and we know that that works on an 8-pixel system. We know that it's good to be putting social proof up here, and like a good tactic is to knock white text back by 50% if you're on a dark background, and then you can highlight stuff just by having it full opacity. We've made drop downs, we've had a look at doing a split nav left and right, which works quite well. We've had a look at button sizes, cool graphics and shapes like this, you know, social proof. I think this is great, and what I would do is, if I was still a junior or still like learning, or if I was bored, I'd just lay out the whole page. And then, you know, if I loved it, maybe now I'd just do the entire site, and then you could take it one step further and then try and build this in Webflow. So that's it. I hope that you found this helpful. I think this is a great way to learn. So I haven't had to use sort of any creativity here, but what I'm doing is I'm just reinforcing really strong design principles into my mind. The next time I have to be creative and create something, maybe I'll unlock something that I learned doing one of these projects. So anyway, as always, if you like the video, please subscribe, please give us a thumbs up, it helps loads, and hope you have a wonderful day, and speak to you soon.